you grew up in St. Mary's, Ontario on like a pig and chicken farm?
Yep.
Like, so
Literally covered in shit on every way. Literally.
Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life. Is wrestling.
welcome everyone to another episode of Wrestling is Life is Wrestling with Cody Deaner. I am Cody Deaner and I am a professional wrestler. I'm a professional wrestling producer. I'm also a professional speaker, and I'm a father to 4 children and a husband to a beautiful wife, and I am a podcaster. This is my podcast. Welcome to it. Welcome to Wrestling is Life. ... is wrestling. If this is your first time visiting us, welcome. If you are back here because you are anxious to hear part 2 with Traci Brooks, just like I am, welcome back. If you're enjoying the show, please go rate, review, subscribe on all podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Before I start putting over my friend Traci Brooks for part 2, let's tell you how you can support me and this project. Number 1, visit our sponsors. Go to restwhendead.ca or on Instagram at restwhendeadclothing and get yourself some wicked awesome merch. If you're watching this on YouTube at Cody Deaner Podcast, you see the merch behind me. You see the hat on my head. You can check all of that out on restwhendead.ca, as well as signature series shirts from myself, as well as TNA stars Crazy Steve and Jody Threat. Are you in business right now wanting some supplements? Maybe you don't have the right supplements in your supplement cabinet, or you're someone who's never really tried supplements before to kind of get yourself to that next level of your workout. Well, I highly encourage you go check out ceofit.ca. They have only the best, highest quality supplements on the market and will get it to you super cheap. If you're in Canada, anything over $120 on your order, free shipping. If you're in the US, you get all the Canadian funds converted to US funds, and it's only $6 shipping no matter what size your order is. So go check out ceofit.ca. Another way you can support me is supporting those awesome sponsors. How you can directly support me is by going to patreon.com/Cody Deaner. We have all full interviews from past guests all up there. It's early and ad-free. If you were a patron, you would have heard this interview already. Part 1 and part 2, Traci Brooks has been up there for over a week, almost a couple weeks now, both in video and audio format. Intros, outros gone, ads gone, just the raw, unedited footage, as well as a bonus story. Check out the end of this part 2, and there'll be a little teaser on what that bonus story is about. Or better yet, just go over to patreon.com/Cody Deaner right now and see what the content of that bonus story is. It's pretty crazy. Traci Brooks, being a girl from a small rural town, probably never expected she'd be exposed in the way that she is in the terms of the content that we're talking about in that bonus story. Just take my word for it. Go over to patreon.com/Cody Deaner. Check out the content there. Consider being a supporter of this podcast. Other ways you can support me is by going to prowrestlingtees.com/Cody Deaner. Get yourself a t-shirt. Or if you want a personal video from me to you or a family member, go to cameo.com/Cody Deaner and we'll get you a wicked awesome video. Today, part 2 with Traci Brooks. Part 1 last week, we kind of heard the origin story of Traci Brooks, kind of where she came from, what she had to overcome. I just want to say thanks again to Traci for opening up and being vulnerable with me and sharing things that, I learned about my friend Traci that I didn't know. I've been friends with Traci Brooks for almost a quarter of a century. I met her very early on in my wrestling career, and I've been wrestling for 23, 24 years now. And I've known Traci since the beginning. And there were things that I learned last week that I did not know. And I know that some wrestling fans out there did not know. So thank you to Traci for sharing some of those stories and the lessons she's learned along the way. We're going to be doing more of that today in part 2. If you enjoyed today's conversation and you just want to leave a word for me and my guests and my listeners, just hit me up at Cody Deaner on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and I'll share what you have to say and spread the love that you send to me. I love hearing from you guys. I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback, both from the Part 1 Traci episode and my past guests. So thank you for doing that. Please keep doing that. I love hearing from you. And if you have a minute to write a review on Apple Podcasts, you listen to this on Apple, write me a review. Same on Spotify. Leave me a comment on YouTube. I love seeing it, and it helps the algorithm and more people learn about wrestling is life as wrestling with Cody Deaner. Let's jump into part 2. We learned some things last week about Traci that we didn't know, and we're going to be getting more of that now. And as we learn more from my friend Traci, I know you're going to be like me. You're going to love her even more. So let's listen to part 2 with TNA Hall of Famer, Traci Brooks. That's the number one skill set that I think isn't focused on enough in wrestling. And it's the same skill set that I've developed that helps me go into a school with literally a gym full of 500 kids and to be able to talk to them for an hour is you have to be able to read the room. So whether it's 500 kids and literally elementary kids or it's drunk lawyers at a bar, like if you can read a room, then you can take them on the journey that we talked about. That's the cool thing. You decide, okay, I can decide the journey I'm going to take them on. Yeah. Right. Because I've read the room and now I know what to do. So it's like this part of the journey that I maybe would have presented this part of the story this way. Well, nope, not going to work in this room. So now I'm going to do this. The tie's not working. Now the tie comes off, the boobs come out, and here we go. Right. Whereas other times, no, that's not going to work. I'm going to wear the suit and the tie and the whatever. Right. Like it's just so true. Yeah.
And I tell my son all the time, because my son is we're very blessed. He's very social and book smart. He's very, which is great. He does have a hard time sometimes reading the room. He is 11. Yeah. But sometimes when daddy and mommy are a little mad, like you're driving for a fun Disney trip, but you've just had a fight kind of thing. Like, you're just like rebel. It's like, read the room, dude. Read the car. Like, this is not the time to be like, hey, remember when you farted and blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's
yes.
Like, so we always try to tell Rebel, it's like, it's a hard life skill to learn too. And especially today, because everyone's on social media, you can't read a room on a phone or a tablet or and that's going to his birthday parties. Especially when he was younger, it was like all the parents were like, how are you? Why? What do you mean? How are you? Having a good day? Tell me about the birth of your kid. I don't know. Tell me about something. But I'm exhausted at the end because I'm the one that's trying to mold and trying to make sure everyone's having a good time. That's the bartender in me.
Yes.
And that's what I love, though. I want people to be happy because I am an empathetic person and I feel what people feel so deeply, especially my friends. So I want everyone to be happy. Getting people drunk is a lot easier. It's easier to make people happy.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's interesting you chose that field.
Yeah, I love for that reason. A bartender. And that is where I learned to be a worker. Honest to God, you have to. And
so, how long
what's that?
I was gonna say, how long did you bartend before you?
Oh my God!
Before you were starting to start to kind of make it, I guess, in wrestling, so to speak.
95. I was waitressing until 2003. I left.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it was a long time.
And then 2000 so you were bartending and then doing the indies at the same time. You were working that, right? That was your hustle. And then your first big break was 2003 with TNA, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was so we did the AWF. We did the shows at Cactus Pete's in Scarborough.
I think so.
Those were Sundays, right? Once a month. And then my training was Saturday, Sunday every week in Toronto. So it was perfect because it was either in the afternoon or early evening. So I never missed wrestling.
Right.
But then all of a sudden I started going to WXW for AFA. And then I started going to WXW, which meant I had to take the weekend off because we drove to Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania. There was no flying. And then that's when I had to sit down with my boss, Chris Gerard, And he's like, you have a lot of time off. Like there's a lot of days. And I'm like, that's when I said, just give me a year. And then Scott got me into, and then I was doing BCW too. And like the shows in Niagara Falls and things like that, like the awesome show. Oh, God, I love those shows.
Oh yeah.
Neo Spirit.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're starting to run again. We're doing
No
Neo
way.
again. Yeah, we're just starting to run. Like we've about 3 shows in now. They've made a comeback. It's awesome. Yeah.
We had some good times, man. Some good
yes,
shows.
we did.
And so,
hell yeah. We were so I was just about to say the same thing, Traci.
Yeah.
I mean, we were so blessed. We're so lucky that we had we had really good promotions to work for, but the talent was so unbelievable.
Unreal.
As you start to get out and realize, I remember when I started doing some like starting to get out there in the States, like as more down south I got and realizing, wait a minute, like
what the hell?
Where the hell am I? Like this is what? That guy's like that guy that just showed up literally in his work clothes, but then went to the ring in the work clothes. He's covered in dirt and sneakers. I'm like, wait, you can't.
Or the fan like puts out his cigarette and gets in the ring.
And then gets in the ring and go, what?
Yeah.
I remember
I had a lot of that.
The first show I did of that, Tracy Smothers was in the locker room, bless his soul, and me and Jake O'Reilly and Crazy Steve and TJ Harley show up. We get into our actual gear, and then Tracy Smothers walks over, sits right down beside us and goes, you ain't from around here, are you?
Yeah.
and we're like, no. And he's like, nope. I want to watch your match. Like he had an immediate respect for us because we presented ourselves professionally. We were all in
changed
shape.
Your clothes.
Exactly. His respect because we changed out of our street clothes. Okay, I respect you guys. Like what a world. We did not him. Right? Oh, he was so amazing. We didn't have that.
So lucky. Like even just carpooling to Scott's BCW shows or going to Niagara Falls, we were so lucky. Gail and I mean, I was so lucky because I got married to Gail so early.
Yeah.
And I knew that was my worker in me. She's a workhorse. I'm the carny. This is how this is going to work. And it was wonderful. And still to this day, I think her and I could get in the ring and wrestle. It wouldn't maybe be good, but we could get in the ring and wrestle each other.
Oh yeah, you could.
Not talking.
Yeah. Yep.
But I remember, we went to our first show and Sherry Martel was there and I'm just in awe.
Of course.
So Gail and I are so scared to work anybody else that we convinced the promoter that we could only work each other in a tournament. And somehow it was like an elimination tournament, but we worked each other twice. How we talked.
Hey, you worked it. You used your bartending skills and used your worker. Oh, that's awesome.
And we had to go with him to do media and stuff like that. And Sherry, and no one got paid. The promoter stiffed all of us. We got paid because Kevin made sure we did, which was awesome. But I remember Sherry pulled me and Gail into the bathroom after that and said, you two have something. She could have been lying through her teeth, but I should have retired then and there because I'm like, what can happen in my life that Sherry Martel has not just topped? Like it was, that was cool.
So meaningful.
It was, but it was like Gail and I were like, we were so scared because again, and some of the girls went on and were incredible, but we were so scared because it was just Gail and I in Ontario for so long. And then thank God, Beth Phoenix. But so we were so scared. So we worked the promoter into letting us work twice. Because we were so scared of getting hurt.
Sure. Yes.
Yes.
People don't understand this. Like you said, like you're putting your life on the line.
Yeah. I'm giving you my body. I just met you 5 minutes ago and I have to trust you. Could you put the smoke and the bottle of whiskey away and we could maybe like.
Yeah. Right.
I am trusting you with my life and you are trusting me with your life. And you goes back to the start of this conversation. You have to show up. Because if you're picking me up in a body slam, very well could drop me on my head.
And not just show up, but also like the importance of finding your people, both that you can trust in the ring physically, but also people you like connect with so that you can, when we do have these human moments of insecurity or whatever, like you have that person you kind of lean on. Was Gail that person for you? Were you able to, you guys were able to do that with each other? Like all those things that you need to like but get out there, you can just do that with each other.
1,000%. Her and I, she's my sister and a sister that we don't fight. Like just her and ODB are just my two wives, you know, they're my wives. And my sisters and my lifeline, and not SoCal Val, but SoCal Val. I mean, she wasn't in the ring. I'm talking about in-ring wrestlers.
Yep.
But Gail and I were lucky enough because Apocalypse Wrestling Federation.
Yep.
They did the CNE.
Oh,
and
right.
I think they did 100 shows in 18 days or something like that. Because we wrestled, we do like 4 shows on the weekday and 5 on the weekend. Gail and I wrestled, I don't know how many times, and like 50, I'm not kidding you, 50 matches right then in those 18 days. And sometimes we'd be like, oh God, that sucked. Or why did we do this? Or why did you do that? Why did you do that? But we were just, I trust her with my life in every aspect. And she knows, she's my sister forever. And I mean, even when she went to WWE and I went to TNA, yes, we don't talk every day. But then as soon as we came back together, boom, you know, and God, it's been 20 years. And yeah, she's still my sister. And same thing with ODB. When Gail went on the road to WWE, I met ODB, and then ODB and I were literally instantly married to each other. Like driving to shows together. Like we drove from Nashville to Philadelphia, Nashville to Chicago. We worked in Muscle Shoals, Alabama in a strip joint.
Hell yeah.
But during that time, I got to, Bobby Eaton came to my house and sat on my couch and just talked to me. Both Midnight Express just talked to me. Jim Cornette, like all these people. I'm like, is my life real? Like,
so good.
I got to travel with these people and work with these people and just learn and watch in, you know, deep South.
Yeah.
That's when I learned to work too,
Yep.
You didn't have to do a lot.
And I think what's really cool about that is just listen to you speak, like, because I'm the same way. Like, I remember I had a weekend, and this is not even going back that far. This is maybe 6-7 years ago. I got to do a whole weekend with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh,
and like he told me at the end of the weekend that I was awesome in the ring, and it's
you're
like,
done.
yeah,
Just
it's like I'm done
now,
right? But like we in life, like even though we have all these ups and downs and these struggles, but we work for these little wins, right? And sometimes
that's what life is.
Right. And like sometimes those wins, they're not what we think they are. Like sometimes we think like when I sign that contract, when I win that championship, when I main event that show. And really the win is Bobby Eaton sitting on my couch and talking to me. Like that's a win, you know, and that we gotta, it's really important to like notice that, appreciate that, and like let that be its thing. You know,
the older you get to, you realize it's not the big money. Yes, money's awesome, but it's not always brings happiness. It is those little battles in life that you've like traveling with Ricky Morton, or like even Johnny Swinger. When I didn't know him that well, we went to a show and got stiffed. Nope, he made sure me and ODB got paid. Like it was, but I look back at even you guys, like you, Showtime, and I'm going to call him Showtime. I'm not going to call him Eric Young.
Yes.
Even in my Hall of Fame speech, I called him Showtime.
I loved it. You said it, and
I said it twice.
Yeah, and I turned to him, and there was a couple people standing there like, "Hey," it's like, "Who the hell's Showtime?" I'm like, "That's Eli." And like, "Oh, okay."
I will always, you will always be Deaner to me, Crazy Steve.
Yes,
that is you guys. I don't care if you change your name. I don't care. That is your name.
Yeah,
that is just how. But it's like I look at you guys, and I know I could call you guys, and now I also know like I could fall back on you guys for anything. You know what I mean? Like we had such a great group of people back then that were still here. Like and because we were trained well, we're good human beings. We have a strong work ethic. It shows where we've come from and where we are today. And I'm so lucky to have that with all you guys. But now also my husband is, you know, he's like, I'm the mom and now he's your buddy. You know, I was the road, but I was your friend, you know, and now Frankie's your friend. But I am so blessed. And that is a big win for me. It's to have those. I haven't been in wrestling for how many years and to still have that. And I remember our talk when I saw you, when I went back to Impact in Vegas, and it had been 9 years since I'd been back. And I remember how happy I was talking to you. Just like,
me too.
I miss these conversations, just normal conversations, just talk. But now we're talking about our kids and stuff like that. But just people that just have common sense and were raised the right way and just get it and are good human beings. So I always remember that conversation. And you sat and talked to my son, and like my son still remembers that. And it wasn't hey, do you like wrestling? Like you talked to him about dinosaurs and you talked to him about. So yeah, it made my heart. Those are the wins I love now. you know, those
Yep.
little things. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's
like
the
one
win.
topic.
No, it's not. It's right on topic. Like those are the wins. I get to bring my son, who he fell in love with wrestling about 4 years ago through my old LJN action figures.
Oh my
And
God.
like I get to bring him to indie shows, and
Yeah.
he gets to interact with my friends that are like my guys, you
Mhm.
know. And then he gets to be, even if he just gets in the ring for like 5 minutes before the show, just to like step foot in the ring and like touch a rope, like it just makes his day. And like that's a win.
It is.
And that's such a meaningful win. It's important to hang
But
on to
your
those
friendship
things.
with Showtime and Crazy Steve, it's just like,
Mhm.
I love that. I love, and I
Yep.
don't know if it's because we're Canadian, but I love the fact that you guys are all like so close and tight, and then
Well,
you've all succeeded.
it's so, I didn't even think of this till you just said it. Like me, Showtime, Crazy Steve, and you are all like not just Canadians, but like Canadians from these small little nothing towns in the middle of nowhere.
From Ontario too, though.
From
Like,
Ontario,
yeah,
yes. So from towns that are like, wait, what? Like St. Mary's? Like,
yeah.
huh? Like,
Showtime's from
and
a village. Like,
yes,
he's
I
not
am
even from
too.
a town. Yeah.
Mine's a step down from a village. I grew up in Port Bruce, which is a hamlet.
Oh my God, I know exactly
It's
where.
not even on some maps.
Yeah.
Still to this day, it's so small. So like, and then so we grow up in these small little like nothing places
Mhm.
where percentage wise we are not supposed to make it.
Yep.
Like we're not supposed to be where we are. But because of the things that you said, those qualities, like putting in the work, showing up, and the one that you cannot skim over, which I think is probably one of the top of the list, is just being a good human being.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that goes so far.
Mhm.
I can't even stress that enough. Like kindness is cool. Being a good person, you will
Yeah.
never regret that. You just don't be honest, don't lie, because then you don't need to keep track
Mhm.
of your lies. Be a good
It's
person, and
exhausting.
right, it's gonna help you by just being a good person at
And
all
it's
levels, on
funny.
your way up, on your way down, no matter
Yes.
what.
You could
Yeah.
be so in my son's little league, it's just a house league team,
Mhm.
but they do all stars and you get picked or whatever. So he did all stars one year and it was honestly not a good experience. Like
Mm.
it was, I'd rather pay for him to go to a baseball camp because it was parents yelling. This was 2021.
Mm.
Parents were yelling. There's no college scouts in the crowd. There is
Yeah.
no major league contract being signed. These are kids that are picking their nose, picking their butt, eating it.
Yeah.
Look at the flower. Holy, there's a
Yep. Yep.
plane. Like,
Yes. Yes.
and it wasn't the best experience because parents were literally yelling at each other. The umpire had to stop and say, I'm going to forfeit the game if you parents don't shut up. And it was just like, how is this? And I said to my son, I'm like, I go, if I was to coach, because I did coach, I had to step away this year because I get a little too emotional.
I learned about myself this year. I didn't coach, but I was on just
Mhm.
observing my daughter's basketball game, and I was pacing and like almost
You're
yelling.
like a ball of,
Oh, Traci,
yep,
I turned my wife and go, I can't
yep,
coach. I'm never gonna be able to coach her.
yep.
This isn't possible. Oh, it was awful. It was
I don't
awful.
even care about you're not supposed to be good, but it's like, just be involved.
Yes.
1 hour. Just my biggest thing is run on the field, run off the field. 1, because you get more time to play. 2, because
Mhm.
you're an athlete right now. Even if you're pretending, run off and run on. Just
Yep.
run on and run. That's all I ask. And so
Yep.
ask Frankie, he'll tell you because he steps away from me. He'll be beside me, and all of a sudden he's like,
Ah.
I don't know that crazy woman. He's like, how's
Yep.
not coaching going? I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. Or they get down on themselves, like one run, and they're like, we're done. I'm like,
I know.
come on.
Yeah. Put on your rally cap. Don't you know what a rally
Yes.
cap is? Let me show you.
I'm
God,
very
like,
competitive too, but not at that age. I just want them to, this is the best time of your life.
yeah.
This is the best sport.
Mhm.
But anyway, but I said to Rebel, if I was to coach an all-star team, I wouldn't necessarily pick the best players. I would pick the most coachable kids. And I would pick the kids that were good for the team. And I'm not saying this kid, he's my kid, but my kid always gets most sportsmanlike because he's
Yep.
always the one like, come on, he's very Canadian.
Nice.
Come on, you can do it. Don't get down. But then he strikes out and cries. So
Right.
then he's in the field going, you can do it. And he's
Oh, that's so sweet.
but it's that to me, it's like I'd rather have. So sometimes I'm not the best wrestler, but I'm good for the locker room. And sometimes that's
Mm,
just as important.
that's
Being a good
true.
person and being a team leader. And you might not be the Ricky Steamboat of wrestling or, the Sherry Martel, but you are good for morale, and you help, and you're that worker that helps people and lifts everybody up, and you know, and you need that sometimes too. And that's why I think you guys are all talented to begin with, but on top of that, you have that also going into a locker room, like where you guys could be leaders and motivational and inspiring and stuff like that too. So that's why I think even my husband, you guys have done so well, because you also have that reputation of, you step in the ring with any of you guys, you're going to come out better. And, you know, and you step in that, or the locker room is going to be better because of it. And you need a good locker room. And TNA has a fantastic locker room.
Hell yeah. So good.
Can tell. Like you can tell that comes out in the matches, and it comes out, you know, you never hear anything bad about the locker room, which is phenomenal. And Frankie sees that firsthand. So, but I think that's what you guys bring too, is that on top of being just ridiculously talented, you bring that next level of lifting people up and being that player that helps the locker room. And you're not, you know, you're the leaders kind of like that. So it's not only just about talent sometimes, you know?
That's right. I know it's not. And the management at TNA with Scott and other people that are involved, they understand that importance of that.
Absolutely.
Right. It's not just, you know, there's so many facets of this business that are important. And that's one of them, is how you need those people, right?
You do.
Not just the guys that can kill it in the ring, even though we all can, but the guys that like make sure, that everybody is lifted up in a positive way, right? Like healthy competition and like healthy, like pull them aside. And, hey, like that's not the way you do it. You do it this way. And this is the way we do it in teaching, but all in a positive way.
I remember one of my first tryouts at WWE, Molly Holly. I worked with her, and I remember Dean Malenko was helping us, and I'm like, God, the Dean Malenko, I have to ask him something. Like, he's here helping me. Like, I just say something, Traci, like, because I just wanted to absorb anything from him. Yeah. So I remember just asking him even but a tackle, because being a girl wrestler and a male wrestler, you can't. It's very different. Yes. So like when you guys tackle someone, you can fire up, but when girls do it, sometimes we look ridiculous. So I remember I asked him, and I I said, when you tackle someone, like, you know, and he helped me and stuff. But then Molly, so that was in Toronto, and then they were going to London, and Molly offered to drive with me in a car full of indie workers. And I was like, why? And she goes, I like working you. You're enjoyable. You want to learn. And if we wrestle each other, and I have to wrestle somebody, like I can't wrestle myself. So if I wrestle you, and we do well, we make money for the company, we make money for ourselves, we push women's wrestling. But that's where she was very much like so giving. And I was like, oh my God, this is Molly Holly. And she's saying this, and she's just like, I can't wrestle myself. Like,
she gets it. She gets it.
And that's another lesson I learned. But she rode with 3 indie people from Toronto to London, which is what, 2 hours?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours. Yeah. That's amazing.
She's like, we worked together well. And like, you know, and I was just like, oh my God, like it was just little lessons like you pick along the way.
I want to take a pause from our conversation to tell you about today's sponsor, ceofit.ca. Their byline is simple: conquer, evolve, overcome. Do you need to conquer your next workout? Or maybe you've hit a plateau in your exercise game and you need to evolve. Or you're starting to find there's some obstacles in the gym that you can't overcome. CEO Fit will help you conquer, evolve, and overcome any obstacle in your way with their top of the line supplements. Whether it's a pre-workout to help you crush that next cardio session, or man, you did crush that cardio session and you need to fill your muscles back up with some high quality protein, we got that for you at ceofit.ca. There's also creatine, vitamins, test boosters, seasonings, and syrups to make your meal not just tasty but healthy too. Oh, I can't forget, they're not just going to help you work out your muscles. They're going to help you work out your brain. They got nootropics for brain function right now at ceofit.ca. Are you a Canadian that you've listened to commercials like this before, and then you jump on the website and realize, wait a minute, this free shipping or cheap shipping that they're talking about doesn't apply to me because I'm Canadian. Well, guess what? CEOFit.ca is a proud Canadian company, and we are offering to you Canadian listeners any order over $120, free shipping. Now, you US customers and listeners right now might be going, wait a minute, what about me? Well, I got something for you too. It doesn't matter how big your order is. You might go over there and go, man, I need it all. And you get 10 boxes full of these awesome supplements. It's going to cost you $6. $6. Any size order, anywhere in the United States, $6 in shipping. Not only that, American, with the conversion rate, any price that you see on CEOFit.ca, it's going to convert it to US dollars. So everything's going to be even cheaper for my American customers. So you need to conquer, you need to evolve, you need to overcome. Well, there's only one place that you need to go, and that's CEOFit.ca. That's CEOFit.ca. I love that you had just dropped a WWE reference, because even though I have a whole bunch of notes here, I haven't gone to any of them. But there's a couple things that I want to talk about, even though we've been talking for over an hour. I told you it was going to go fast, Traci.
We have not.
Yes, we've been talking for over an hour. Yes. And I haven't asked you anything I wanted to ask, but it doesn't matter because everything we're talking about is what this is all about. But you are synonymous with TNA in everyone's mind, right? And you're in the TNA Hall of Fame, which I am going to talk to you and ask you about in a minute. But was WWE ever even an option for you in your career?
No. I wanted, obviously back in the day, there was no TNA. So I wanted to go to WWF.
Yeah.
And then I got signed to TNA and I was there. And then I think 2006, my contract was up and I didn't know anything about negotiating, didn't know anything about, I think Scott called and he's like, you happy? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
But I was always scared to go to WWE. Like that was my self-confidence, but I was so happy at TNA because I got to do so much on my own. Like obviously I got to do TNA, which was TV, and man, our ratings were through the roof, Spike TV. It was incredible. We were firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
But then I still got to do indies. And I still got to do like a little bit I did some Canadian acting shows and I got to do Playboy and I got to do so I still got to do very much control of myself, but I also never tried. In 2010, when I was let go from TNA, they just, nothing for me.
Yep.
I remember was it 2010? Yeah. I emailed someone in WWE and they're like, no, we're good. We have no interest, which I knew kind of, but, no, it was never one. I don't like, oh yeah, they kind of had interest in me. No, I don't think they ever did.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
I had 3 or 4 tryouts with them.
Yeah.
And I worked Molly a lot.
Yeah.
I had one day, I remember it was Gail and Beth Phoenix and I went in for our tryouts. And I remember I'm like, this is it. I have nothing to lose. And I'm just like, I'm going to be confident. So I remember we got to work Molly and everyone was around the ring. Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Undertaker, because at that time there wasn't a lot of female wrestlers,
right? And
the female wrestlers they were bringing in weren't maybe that good. And I will say, Gail and I and Beth were trained properly, and Gail and I have worked a ton, and Beth and I have worked a ton. But I remember going in there going, "This is it. I'm just gonna balls to the wall. I don't care." So I went in, and they're like, "What do you want to do?" I go, "I want to work heel, and I want to call the match with Molly." And we called it on the fly, and we just
nice.
Worked. And then Stephanie McMahon's like, "I want you to be a baby face." And then Molly called it. And then I was told I look too much like Lita. I look too much like Ivory. I look too much like Lisa Marie, Victoria. But Victoria, who, again, I've had some wonderful positive experiences in my life, she stood beside me and she's like, they think we look like sisters. So maybe we could do something. And I was like, like she was the crazy bitch, Stevie Richards.
Yeah.
And she was so cool. I was like,
she's awesome.
Yeah, like compared to some girls' stories, I've had some awesome women experiences.
Hell yeah.
And it was just really cool but I was told I wasn't Asian enough when Gail got hired, which was really funny. I was like, oh okay. So,
it's so funny the things that you hear from back. Like, you're not the only one. I've heard so many things. It's like, yeah, you didn't
tell
have
me
this.
You don't want me. I don't that.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't have anything, or you look too much like this person. So But at that point, I should have like tried to dye my hair different. I didn't. I was like, okay. And I didn't have enough foresight to like try to be different or look different. And
sure.
it wasn't my path.
But no, it wasn't your path. And you ended up where you were supposed to end up,
Mhm.
which was with this company that, you know, you have nothing but good things to say.
Mhm.
And it's not always, even though there might not have been huge multi-million-dollar contracts that were being signed through that, you said you were happy.
I
And
was.
you can't put a value on that, right? The happiness of you met
I
your
met my
husband.
husband. I have my kids.
Yes,
All my
right.
friends work with me. Rebel has all his aunts and uncles there. We're the women's evolution. Our company, I'm not knocking anybody else because I love how much women wrestling there is in the world, and WWE's killing it right now. And Impact's always killed it, but we were the ones that kind of had the variety of women. It wasn't all cookie cutters. It was like the 31 flavors. You know, we had everybody.
Yes.
And we are the ones that were wrestling, Gail and Kong, and even like me and I still think sometimes this generation women are like, not women, but people are like, oh, you're just a valet. A valet is super important.
Oh my
God.
God.
A good valet, a manager, every key part. Any ring announcing, Jade Chung getting to ring announce, like it's another woman role. Like every aspect is important. And Impact always had that, and they understood how to use women. And yes, we did our bikini stuff, and yes, we did our bikini matches and shit like that. I also lost my bikini match to Showtime.
Yep.
But that's not horrifying.
I love it.
But I mean, Impact, I was always doing, even when I was the only one there, like I was backstage announcing, I was in the park with Jimmy Hart, like talking to fans. There was always something for me to do and learn the different aspects of the business too and stuff. And I don't know. I have nothing but great things about TNA. And I met my husband. And
yes. And like I said, you everything happens for a reason. You ended up where you were supposed to be. And one of those places was ending up in the TNA Hall of Fame. And I know you were humble and you're like, what's happening? All this stuff. You don't want to put yourself over, but like you're a freaking Hall of Famer, Traci. I get like what emotions went through your mind when that became a thing, you know, and you learned that, like, what were you thinking?
I don't deserve this. What? Did you run out of people? Like, what? Like, what's wrong? What? Like, I did nothing. I was just a valet. I was just a manager. I didn't win the knockout championship. I didn't win the tag team championship. I was, but it's not till even now. Like, and we were looking at lights the other day, Christmas lights, and I'm like, God, we've had a year, haven't we? Like, wow, we've had a year. Like, my husband is happy and he's found his home and he chose to be where he wants to be. And all of a sudden I got to manage him with two people I love, Lish and Eddie, and who are talented and understand this business and get it. And Eddie is and Lish is finally getting the props she deserves.
Agreed.
Like, she is that leader for the female.
She's
locker
awesome.
room.
She's
so that
awesome.
girl that lifts you up, and no birthday's unknown, and no celebration is unturned, and she is that rock star. And she's talented. She's talented. And it just brings that extra level to Eddie too, because he's such a asshole and such a Eddie gets it.
They're
and
so
he's
good. They're so good together. They're everything. So
and
good all around.
They just brought something out in each other. But when Scott D'Amore texted me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to? You're gonna?" Because I told him, I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Windsor because I'm gonna go see my family." And he's like, "Huh? Would you want to walk Frankie to the ring?" And I'm like, "No. Like, why? Like, for what? Like, because I'm there? Like."
Yeah.
Well, my first question was like, how much am I getting paid?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yes, you did. The worker. Yeah.
But I was like, it makes no sense. My husband doesn't need a valet. Like, and then all of a sudden the story naturally unfolds and Lish is getting, so then all of a sudden it's Slammiversary and my son gets to see me. And then that was cool. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you want to do it? No, I'm doing 2 backstage promos. And then I'm helping Trinity, who I adore and love. And she is just such a good get for Impact Wrestling. And I'm a huge fan of hers. I'm saving her. And then all of a sudden I'm in a match. Like, you know how I feel. You and Crazy Steve. How crazy I was. And
oh yeah.
Okay, it's over. And all of a sudden my husband has the microphone and I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden it's announced and my son's in the ring and I'm, and everyone's crying and
I was too, by the way. I was crying.
All you guys were.
I didn't know that was a thing. I was helping produce a match, and then someone's like, "Hey, come watch this thing." I'm like, "What?" Like they're about to do the thing with Traci. I go, "What thing?" And then they said that they were going to announce it, and that you didn't know. And I'm like, "Get out of my way!" Boom. Yeah. And I like ran to go see this. So I'm like watching it live, and it was like, "Oh my god!" I was bawling. I was bawling my eyes out. Oh yeah.
Well, I was like, what? Why? Okay, Frankie gets the mic sometimes after a show, or how you guys do get to thank the crowd. I'm like, this is odd. It's the middle of the show. Like, okay,
right.
I'm just thankful it's over.
Yes, I got through it. Sure.
So thankful, and no one got hurt. Everyone's safe. I didn't pee my pants. I was just so ecstatic. So, and then all of a sudden, Rebel's beside me, and he's like chanting my name and chanting, "You deserve it." And I'm like, what's happening? Yeah. And then this happens, and then the Hall of Fame speech, and having Rebel. I'm gonna cry. But no, I didn't understand at all, really, until recently. It's like, who gets that? Who gets that finish? I have been out of a TNA ring since 2011. I have not wrestled, and I've been very distant from wrestling. I got to manage my husband, who I managed in 2004 and 2005, against, again, two of the greatest people I love. You guys were the first person I saw backstage was Showtime, and then you and Steve. And it was like, look what we've done. Like, look where we've come from. And then I'm going to get emotional again.
Yeah. You're making me get emotional too.
I know.
Yeah.
I know that all the guys are crying. Like they're all, because it was a lot to do with Rebel in the ring. And like, again, that was when the funniest thing is when I went back to train, we went to School of Hard Knocks in San Bernardino with Jesse Hernandez. He was so gracious and let me in the ring. I remember Frankie and I were just doing like tackle drop down, just spots. I was just bumping him because I'm like, oh my God, don't. And Rebel was like, Mom, what? You can do that? You don't run. Like, what? And he just saw me in a different light and just like, he was like, oh, whoa. And he always thinks I look like Wonder Woman.
Oh, so nice. I see that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're one, like, oh my God. And he just, that made it all worth it. Like, just the fact that he saw me in this different, like, I'm usually PTA mom, giving out cookies and wiping noses. And but now he's like, oh my God, my mom's kicking my dad's ass. Like, hell. But Traci,
it's a testament to you, because I didn't even think about it until you just said it. Like, or you said it a couple minutes ago, like, you never won a championship, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't have all these like accolades, right? But that connects back to what we were talking about earlier, in that, like, the value that somebody has to a locker room, to a promotion, like as a wrestler, those accolades, the belts and stuff, those aren't even the things that really matter.
Yeah.
Right? The things that matter is being like a valued person in the locker room in other ways, like lifting people up, being a good person, making everybody rise up. Like, whenever you're in the ring with somebody, you make them rise up. And also getting it in the sense that, hey, this isn't about me. It's about the match. It's about the segment. It's about everybody else, not just me. So the unselfishness, you always had that, Traci, from day one. So that is more valuable than any gold you can put over your shoulder, or like little thing you can check off that's like, oh, this is what really matters in the business. No, it doesn't. These other things are what really matters. And people that really know. And I'm so happy that got acknowledged and you were given that opportunity. Like, no, this is what a real Hall of Famer is, and what they do and what they bring. And that's, you were given that. And I cried when they announced it that was happening, and then I cried during your speech, because that all, like you said, when does that happen? How do people get that? Not only do the people get to end their story that way, but it's not always the good guys that get acknowledged for their contributions. And the fact that your contributions got acknowledged made me so happy and proud of you.
It's almost like Bobby Eaton. Like, it's Bobby Eaton. It's he wasn't the big, main event, but he wasn't Hulk Hogan. But to us workers, Bobby Eaton was better than anything. You know
He
what
was
I
the
mean?
man.
And
Yes.
he got it. Tito Santana, like
Yeah.
those people got it and understood it. And that's who I looked up to. And that's who I wanted to kind of be. But I never dreamt in a million years. Cause like to me, like I didn't win anything. I didn't, and it wasn't that I never expected to, because I loved my role in managing in Valet, and I fell in love with, I loved being a manager in Valet, and I loved being the knockout law, and I loved all that stuff. But it was, I don't know. I never thought in a million years I would be in a Hall of Fame, but you said it too. As soon as I got back, you were there. And that again, you were there. And you even said, you're like, man, I didn't realize how hard, because you motivational speak all the time, but you said, I didn't imagine how hard it was to put a podium and a microphone in front of you and no character. Like you said that to me, and maybe not those words, but I was like,
yes.
Yeah, the worst thing in wrestling I hated was babyface Traci coming through that curtain, because I sincerely love everybody. Maybe not anymore, but okay. I'm angry and bitter now. Yeah. But I was that, I love you all. I'm here. I'm living my dream. I hated it. Heel Traci Brooks loved it.
Yep.
But as a baby face, I hated that, because I didn't know who I was, because I was just this happy, I love everybody, yay. And but going out there with
just you,
nothing,
you're just
me.
it's just you and a microphone.
And I've been gone for a long time, and
the hardest thing
some
to do.
of those people don't know who I am, or and the diehard do, obviously, but it's it's weird. So, but I mean, Rebel and Frankie walking out with me calmed me down.
Sure.
I was going to tell you a funny story quick. The match, I had a panic attack before my match. Massive panic attack, where I kept telling Frankie, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs.
So like a legit panic attack. Like, oh, wow.
And I remember, I think I looked at Alex Shelley and went, I'm having a panic attack. And he just looked at me. He's like, breathe. It was just a random, but I was like, and then John Schuyler goes, don't shit the bed, kid. So that kind of made me laugh and bring me out of it a little bit.
Right on.
But I kept telling Frankie, I can't do this. What if I fall? My legs. What am I going to do? I can't pick her up. My legs. As soon as I got out there, and she slapped the absolute hell out of me. Yes, I'm back. Oh, now I'm back. I love this. And I was like that sick, weird wrestler mentality of like,
totally.
Yes, hit me again. And then like Eddie grabbed me, and I was like, yeah. And I was just,
oh yeah. Yes. Oh, I
never
get it.
again.
I love it.
Ever.
Well, I think this is a good place to say, we got to your Hall of Fame, to the end. We're talking about those great things. And like, who would have thought, this pig farmer from St. Mary's, Ontario, got to, end the story the way you wanted. But then also, I mean, it's not the end of the story, right? You're still involved. You have a husband in it. You have your son that you get to continue to be a mom and instill all those things that we've been talking about this whole time, these life lessons, instill it in your kid, and you still get to be involved, from the distance that you choose to be from, right? You get to control that now, which is nice.
Yes. I have to tell you a funny story. So what we talked about earlier, the roller coaster emotional ride. That's what we love. Yeah. So I haven't felt that, because I also stopped watching wrestling for a long time, just because I was busy, and because it's like, oh, Frankie's yeah. And Rebel doesn't like wrestling. Okay. He loves watching his dad and his me, but he was like, won't watch it on TV. Loves it when he's there. Loves getting in the ring, that stuff. So when I was watching the blow off of Eddie and Frankie, in Memphis, the street fight, the no falls count, or the three, what was it? The submission, the pin, and then the I quit, or the 10 count. But anyways, Frankie was in Australia. And usually we don't FaceTime or text or anything, because it's just like, hey, I'm at the hotel. You can call now. Okay. Sure. I called him immediately, and I was bawling. Absolutely bawling watching his match. Sure. I'm going to cry now, because they took me on that journey. Yeah. Like, I'm going to cry. Yeah. But they took me on that journey, and I was like, he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Where's Rebel? I'm like, your match was so good. And I literally bawling my eyes out, because it was just like ups and downs, and the emotion and the storyline. And all of a sudden Lish is there. And I'm like, why is she there? And she gets put through a table. And then it was such beautiful, beautiful storytelling by the company and by those two. And then even the commentators, who are geniuses.
So good.
Yes. And it was just, I literally have not had that emotion, that up and down. Like, yes, all that was emotional, but it was just a match hasn't done that for me in so long. I was just like, I felt like I wanted to smoke a cigarette after. I was just like,
where you just get to be a fan again. Yes.
Yeah. And I found with Impact, TNA, I have become that again.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's booked, because of the talent, because of everything, I've become that fan again. So it's so enjoyable. But like to watch your evolution, to watch EY's evolution, to watch Crazy Steve. I'm so thankful he's getting this journey. And
me too.
And Gail coming back and Kong coming back and all these girls, the beautiful people, and then mixing with the amazing talent that the girls already there. And so but anyways, that's what I wanted to say. Sorry. Wrestling still makes me cry.
Which is the beautiful thing about it, right? It's just such a wrestling's the best. And that's
we hate it. We say
I know,
but we don't.
I hate it so much. I say this all the time, man. I hate it because you have those days, but ultimately, like, we love it. You know, there's things about it that we don't love, but like we focused on all the things that we love today. And, you know, in terms of your career and just our mutual people that we know and our mutual passion for wrestling and how it's connected to our life in such a beautiful way. I appreciate your time. Is there anything? I have a little note here. I have the word plug ? On my page. Like, is there anything that you want to plug and like tell people
TNA
about?
Wrestling, hard to kill.
There you go. Nice. Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm really, really, really excited. Everywhere Frankie's ever worked, he's always been accepted and loved, and they've loved our family, and he's always been treated, but he's also just earned that. Yeah. Like, he's worked his ass off, but every company he's ever been with has always treated us fantastic. But Impact is our home. TNA is our home, and it always will be. And it literally has given me my family, like, and my friendship and my family and Rebels, aunts and uncles. And TNA is that little cult kind of, if I want to say cult, so that underground, what UFC used to be before it was, you know, it's that. And I hope to God more people tune in and realize it's what wrestling is missing. Is TNA booking, is the storylines and the characters and the long-term booking and the talent they have and the amazing locker room. So I really hope more eyes get on TNA this year. And you guys are just doing this now. It's just snowballing and it's incredible to see. So, and I'm so happy you're doing the show, but I'm so happy your evolution is crazy in this business. Like, think about that,
Traci. Yeah.
Like, and it's awesome. And I'm so proud I'm proud of my friend.
Oh, thank you, Traci. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all you've done. And I'm so happy that you did this. I'm so glad that I asked you to do this because I knew we were gonna have a good conversation, Traci, but this was even better than I expected.
You have to get Frankie on so he can talk exact opposite and bury
me. I do. I want to have Frankie on. So I'm gonna reach out to him. I want to definitely have him on, and then we'll learn about the real Traci Brooks.
Yeah, crazy. Insane. Okay, I'll tell you a quick story. I lose my phone every day. It's a famous thing in my house. Yeah. And so I'm walking around. I'm like, where's my phone? And I'm like, oh my God, like, I didn't know if maybe you were trying to contact me. So I just wanted to make sure everything was fine, get on the link and everything.
Yeah.
So then I realized I start texting Frankie on the phone I'm looking for. I don't send the text because I realize I am now texting on the phone I'm looking for.
Oh, that's
because I'm like, where's my phone? Oh, it's
yeah.
So that's where I am in life.
I've had those moments too, Traci. I walk into rooms and don't know why I'm there, and this is what we do. Yeah, we're just old war horses, still doing what we love. Can I, as we close here, there was one thing that I was going to ask you about, but because I'm a worker. We talked about being workers. One of the things that I have as a worker, Traci, is I have a Patreon where I offer my patrons that pay me, and rather just listen to this for free, I also do bonus stories just for my patrons. So my paid people that support me, I give them kind of bonus stories so they can go to my Patreon and then they can do these bonus stories. So I offer a teaser at the end of the episode. I usually go, hey, will you stick around for one bonus story? Will you stick around? Okay. Now, I was going to ask you this earlier, but I'm going to save it because I think this is the perfect Patreon tease. You mentioned it very quickly in passing in our conversation. I didn't hit it because I want to hit it now. Okay. You mentioned an opportunity to be in Playboy. Oh, God. So I would like, just for my Patreon exclusive, members, to go hear about. Yeah, what is this Playboy stuff we're talking about, and how did that come to be, and what was that experience like? Because we talked about, having, insecurities and stuff. Well, there's no more crazy thing you can do to somebody that doesn't even want to be in a swimsuit than
You're
make them
naked.
Playboy.
Yeah.
Oh, so I want to ask you all about that over on my Patreon. Will you do that for
Absolutely.
me, Traci?
Yes.
Love it. Okay, thank you for doing this, Traci. You're the
Thank
best.
you.
I love you. Can't wait to see
Love
you
you
again.
too.
That's going to do it for another episode of Wrestling is Life is Wrestling with Cody Deaner. Traci is awesome. If you are someone that's not super familiar with Traci Brooks, now you are. Go back and watch some Traci Brooks matches, some Traci Brooks segments, some times when she was accompanying someone to the ring as a valet and a manager, and just making whatever was happening in the ring that much better simply by her being there. She's the Bobby the Brain Heenan of female managers, in my opinion, my humble opinion. I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. She's one of the best workers of all time. Traci, thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for sharing bonus story that is over on patreon.com/Cody Deaner right now. Traci opens up about how the whole Playboy thing came into being. What was that like? How did she respond to that? What was it like posing nude in Playboy? I mean, we talk about body image and mental health in this conversation that I had with Traci here for you guys, and we kind of go into a little bit more of that and what was that whole experience like. I can't imagine being a small town girl that grew up on a pig farm in the middle of nowhere in southwestern Ontario, right 45 minutes down the road from me. I know I'm living in the middle of nowhere. She grew up in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden she's on television and then posing nude in Playboy. Oh, what a wild life she has led, and she's got some really insightful things to say about it. I'm just very grateful that Traci was willing to open up about those things. If you want to hear that bonus story, head on over to patreon.com/Cody Deaner. If you want to hear next week's guest early and ad free, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'm going to tell you it is awesome. You can find that out this weekend. If you're listening to this when this episode drops, this weekend I'll be putting up the full unedited commercial free part 1 and 2 of next week's guest over on patreon.com/Cody Deaner. I got free trials over there. So if you just want to try it out, see if you like it, see if you're enjoying all the content that I'm shooting your way, go check it out right now at patreon.com/Cody Deaner. Don't forget to support my sponsors, Rest When Dead Clothing on Instagram, restwhendead.ca for all of their merch, and ceofit.ca for all your supplementary needs. Other ways you can support me are my Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/Cody Deaner, as well as my personal video cameos at cameo.com/Cody Deaner. I love wrestling. If that's not obvious from these podcasts, I don't know what can make it more obvious, but I love telling stories and I love wrestling, and I want to do 2 of those things for you and the people in your life. So one way you can bring me to you is if you have a wrestling promotion in your area, tell a promoter about this. Or if you're a promoter or indie worker, listen to this right now and you want to bring me to your promotion to spread my love of pro wrestling to you and your fans, hit me up. Book Cody at CodyDeaner.com. I have a pretty packed schedule, but I do have openings. Let's talk business. Go book Cody at CodyDeaner.com. If you're a business and you want to do business with my business, including this podcast, look, CEO Fit are super happy with my ads. Rest When Dead Clothing, super happy with all the promotion I've done for them and their clothing line. If you want me to help you out with your business, then why don't we do business together? Hit me up at ads@CodyDeaner.com. That's ads@CodyDeaner.com. And let's work together. Let me promote your stuff. If you're something that I believe in, if your business is something that kind of connects with me, I will say yes. I don't say yes to everybody. If I've had offers from other people that, man, it doesn't jive with what I want to promote. So I'm not just going to promote anything. I'm going to promote stuff that I believe in, like Rest When Dead Clothing and CEO Fit. Hit me up if you're a business and you want to do business with me, ads@CodyDeaner.com. I'm also, like I said at the top of the show, a traveling professional motivational speaker. I'm going into schools. I'm super busy with the schedule doing that, but I love being busy. I live by the motto of rest when dead. I'm going to rest when dead. I want to be more busy. I want to do more speeches. I want to do more programming and go in and share more stories with young people all across the nation. Hit me up at chrisgrayspeaks.com. That's Gray with an A, chrisgrayspeaks.com. And we can talk about how I can bring my programs to your youth or youth event. Whew, man, I'm tired. All that shilling just makes a man tired. But I'm looking forward to next week and next week's guest. You guys should be too, because when we come back next week, we will learn yet again the thing that I've learned in my life and in my wrestling journey, and I'm passing it on to you. Man, that is that wrestling is life. Is wrestling. We'll see you next week, guys.
Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life. Wrestling is life. Is wrestling.